Welcome back in.
Good morning.
Hey, the Iron Bowl is certainly one of those rivalries that splits the state in half, and it can create some division.
But those big games can also bring some people together. This picture is an example of that. It is making the rounds on social media. Perhaps you've seen it. It shows what happened when a family invited their UPS delivery driver to finish watching the last minute of the Iron Bowl with them. Chris Roberts shared the picture. He's a journalism professor at the University of Alabama, saying this is just what Alabama people do.
So Chris joins us now live by Zoom. Chris, great to have you with us this morning.
Thanks. Good to be back.
It's cool to see this go viral because obviously, depending on which side you root for, the outcome can be very heartbreaking, especially in the fashion that it ended. But before all that's set up, to give us a scenario, how the UPS driver shows up, just tell us a little bit more about the details of what happened.
Sure. It's after 5 o'clock. There's maybe 2 minutes left in the game. It's 4th and 1 at the Auburn 10-yard line. I go out to help the guy find the package, and the radio blaring really loud from his car, the Alabama broadcast. And I'm thinking, he should see this inside. So I invite him in. And of course, he comes in and has a seat. And I'm not saying he's the reason Alabama won. I'm just saying it was very nice to have somebody else in the house to enjoy it with.
Yeah, I understand that your wife, Melissa, thought that so much so she gave him a big hug when it was over.
Not many people who she doesn't know the last name of come in my house and hug people. So yeah, that's what football does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Now, Chris, so the UPS driver, what team was he rooting for?
He was a Bama guy. We are in Tuscaloosa, 35406, and it may be a law that you have to root for Alabama. But my next door neighbor is an Auburn person, and we haven't really spoken a lot in the last day.
Okay, but I guess my question is, if he was an Auburn, he was a fan of Auburn and the UPS, would you still let him in to watch the ending of the game?
I think so. Yeah, I was an old sports writer growing up. I've got like press passes behind me. I've been to Iron Bowls. I've been to Alabama Auburn games, and I, for years, did not cheer. And so it used to bother my wife that I would go to a game and not cheer. But now this is my employer, and Alabama football brings a lot of people together and brings a lot of students here. So you root for the home team. ESPN calls, the Bleacher Report calls, and it's, social media. Once you put something out there, I tell my students, you cannot bring it back. The internet is just like that. So be careful, kids.
I bet this is a great test. This is a great lesson to go back to class with, isn't it?
Yes, I do a lesson where I let them Twitter and tweet at me the entire class, and I remind my journalism students, my media students, this was free, and you didn't make any money when you were tweeting. And I've been retweeted probably 1 million times on this thing, haven't made a dime. So I tell my students, if you're going to do media for a living, you've got to be able to beat free.
Well, Chris, I wish we could send you a check, but this interview has been free as well. We appreciate your time.
I appreciate that.
And also, was that a baseball in your hand, by the way?
It's just an Alabama squeeze thing.
Oh, okay. Are you
occupied while we're talking?
Oh, I got you. I thought so. It's a little tension because you do have Georgia coming up. So, is the UPS driver invited back for the SEC championship?
I need to figure out who he is. I've got a first name. And, if something bad happens to him, and there were a lot of internet things about, oh, he's going to get fired. I'm like, not in Tuscaloosa. And if it does happen, I will be back on Channel 6 and we will right this injustice.
Yes, you will.
It will not happen.
Yes, you will. And
perhaps somebody watching now knows who he is and can get a message to him.
But it just goes to prove, even in the Iron Bowl, what Brown can do for you.
Absolutely.
Sorry for the cheesy line, Chris. I just had to end it there.
Chris, thank you so much. It's good to see you.
My pleasure.
All right, Chris Roberts joining us from Tuscaloosa. That's a great story.
Yeah, what a great attitude.